Rehana Power.
And today we are discussing Rehana's reviews, Alan's take, of which we have two movies from Rehana. Will they be rants? Will they be raves? John Wick 4 and Mario.
Yeah, you never quite know.
Yeah, both very anticipated films. And in Alan's take, I will be talking about film Beyond Minnesota. So that's what we'll be talking about today.
Love it. I'm excited to talk about that and to hear your take, quite literally Alan's take, on all of that. But to start, I'm going to jump into the movies. I had the glorious opportunity this past week to see both John Wick 4 and Mario Super Brothers.
Is it called Mario Super Brothers? Is that the full title?
I believe so. Yeah.
Cool.
Don't quote me on it, but I am pretty sure that's the whole title.
It's not just called Mario. Yeah.
No, I think it's Mario Super Brothers, but then there might be like a Bowser's Vengeance, or I don't know, something weird. I have no idea. But
the Super Mario Brothers movie. Okay.
There we go.
And spoiler alert throughout. So
yeah, there will be some spoilers. But before we get to spoilers, I just want to say 5 stars all around. For what okay. John Wick 4, absolutely 5 stars. In my view, it is the best of the franchise. It is easily the best one out of all 4. And I will say this as someone who I have no problem with violence in movies. I don't do well with knife, sword, cutting violence. Just because of it freaks me out. I hate it. It gives me like the shivers. And I mean, that's just sprinkled in throughout every John Wick movie. And it's pretty prevalent here, but it doesn't even matter. Keanu Reeves is amazing. And all of the supporting cast is so good. It's incredible. And we'll get into that a little bit more here in a sec. But, for Mario, I'm just going to call it Mario, or Mario Super Bros. The bros that happen to be pretty super. If you have the right expectations for what that movie is, which means if you have kids, you want your kids to really enjoy it. Or if you don't have kids, maybe you're just going for nostalgia purposes, because you're a human with a heart, then, that if you're just going to enjoy it because it's Super Mario Brothers, you're going to love it. Like, it's great. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's got a little bit of everything. Except for one character. I will say that Mario has 2 credit scenes, one of which is kind of in the middle, and one of which is the very, very end. Wait for that, because that's going to answer a question of, what might come in the sequel, because there's definitely going to be a sequel. At least I hope so. And so if you go in with the right expectations and knowing there isn't some huge, crazy plot, first of all, it's a Pixar movie. There's not going to be, it's fine. Like there are these little things that they do, issues that they run into, and it's fun. It's just fun. It's cute. It's funny. I laughed a bunch. We both did. My partner and I, we laughed a ton, and everyone who was cast did a very good job. I only knew that Toad was Keegan-Michael Key because I knew that he was Keegan-Michael Key going in. Had I not known that, I mean, Jer said that he could totally tell by the voice. I couldn't. I was only able to tell from like focusing on it, trying to hear him, because I think that he just does voices really, really well, and he was able to remove himself from that voice to create Toad. Anyway, he did great. Anna Taylor-Joy is lovely as Princess Peach. She nails it. Chris Pratt and I said that weird. Chris Pratt and Charlie Day are just fantastic as Mario and Luigi. Like they play off each other really well. I love Charlie Day as Luigi. Like he just gets nervous and jumpy, and it's hilarious. He does such a good job. So yeah, And at one point, I know that there was a whole controversy thing, like everybody was talking about, like, well, it just sounds like Chris Pratt and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it doesn't even have like whatever. And they literally, that's like one of the opening jokes. And it's not necessarily a joke, but it kind I don't want to give tons of spoilers away. That like one of the, I think it's the opening scene, it might be the opening two scenes where they play on, it's the Mario kind of like voice thing versus the fact that it's Chris Pratt. And so it is funny. And it really like softens the fact that they sound like regular people, because they are just people.
Yeah.
And so it's really lovely. It's very fun. Jack Black as Bowser is the most brilliant casting decision that I have seen in years. Brilliant. No one else could have done this role, even like a fraction as well as he did. He was, oh my God, it was so amazing. It made it so much better, just even being able to picture it as Jack Black doing it. Cause when he's doing the voice and he's in the studio, he's going crazy because it's Jack Black. It was amazing. So it was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. 5 stars for what it is, for what it's supposed to be. It nailed it for what it's supposed to be. Is it movie of the year? No, it's not supposed to be. So I loved it. Going back to John Wick 4 though.
Yeah.
And again, 5 stars. It was amazing. Easily the best one of the franchise, in my personal opinion. One fun fact that it's funny, I didn't even notice this when watching the movie, but then I heard someone on the radio point it out, and I was like, wait a second. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh man, that's right. They're right. Keanu Reeves only has 380 lines. And no, not lines. I'm sorry. Words. He speaks 380 words in the entire 3-hour movie. Given it's like 350 or 250, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's 3 hours. He says 380 words. That is nothing. That's wild. But you don't really notice it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I didn't notice it. You didn't notice it?
No.
Yeah. Because there's just so much going on. And the supporting cast is so good and so vibrant and just so present that you don't notice at all. Like it all plays very smoothly and makes total sense.
Yeah. Like everything from the beginning, it's just he speaks with punches, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the very beginning. And then I feel like I remember hearing from someone, this is third hand, so I don't know, or second hand, whatever. That it was supposed, like the original final cut, or first final cut was like 3 hours and 45 minutes or something, and they were satisfied with it, but then the studio said no, you have to cut it down to like the 3-hour mark or something.
Oh, so, I heard it was even longer than that.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was
I want to see that cut.
Outrageous. I don't remember if it was like 4 or 5 hours, something. But yeah, like I heard it was just an outrageous length. And they were like, you have to cut it down. You have to get it shorter to like whatever. And everyone was watching the movie in the editing room and they were like, this is going to suck because I want to cut 0 moments from this.
Right.
Like I want it exactly as is. And so it took a long time. Like it was hard for them to do that. I agree though. I said the same thing. I want to see the director's cut.
Yeah, because there are things that are missing from the plot that are like, what about her? She was like with Kane, and then what about like the beginning is kind of like, this is odd. I mean,
yeah, I wonder how much.
Like they didn't explain the suits. They didn't, there's certain things you kind of have to set up in order to be like, okay, this is what's going on. Kind of like with James Bond and like Q,
Yeah.
So ahead of time, like, oh, this weapon does this, or whatever, or this armor does this, and
that was one thing is the suits. They don't explain the fact that, spoiler alert, the suits are bulletproof. And they don't explain that the first time you see him getting shot, and he's just like turning his back and sticking his arm up and being shot, and he's fine, and you're like, wait, but John Wick doesn't have like plot holes this bad. Like, so what
Right.
is happening? Like, where's the disconnect? And then
Yes.
I don't even remember how many scenes later. And you're just like, is that what it is? Like, I don't even know. It's weird. They've never said it. And then a few scenes later, or however many scenes later, they state it. Like they talk about it. And then you're like, oh, okay, that is what it is. Got it. That makes more sense now. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, but
Yeah. It was the
how?
show then tell, but
Yeah.
when I want to call him Morpheus, when
I
he
mean, yes.
when Morpheus enters with Neo punching, um,
Yes.
training, yeah, in the
Yes.
Matrix, the sewer Matrix,
The sewer matrix.
yeah, whatever it is,
I love it. That's what I'm going to call it from now on.
yeah. But he enters with like the suit, right? He's like
Yeah.
carrying the suit in like it's special, like it's a special thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like
But they
there
don't.
was something missing from that point because it felt like he came from somewhere else to
Hmm.
be there. It wouldn't just start with punching, would you?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's something missing there. So,
Yeah. I do. I thought it was really interesting. Like, I love the way that they opened it with him punching and that, like, that, I mean, for lack of a better term, because my brain doesn't work properly, but like literal, like punches, like jolts in the opening that really get you going. Which I thought was really creative and I really, really enjoyed that choice. But at the same time, I was like, is it that they had a different opening that maybe provided more context and just across the board
right,
um, for a variety of things, and then because they had to cut it, they cut or like cut it the whole thing down. Did they cut all of that and then choose this is if that's not the opening, this is the opening?
right.
Or was this actually the opening the entire time? And then they cut things directly after that helped backtrack and tell that back. Yeah, I would be
I think
really
you're right.
interested.
Because what do you sacrifice? Something at the end or at the beginning, really?
Right.
And it's kind of like, well, we can cut this sort of prologue-ish part, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. But like,
Especially if it only adds some context, it kind of gets reinforced later so that they're
right,
like, well, it's here anyway. It's just an hour in. They'll be fine,
right.
kind of a thing.
Who
But
was the
yeah.
studio on this? Was it Warner? Who was it?
Uh,
Or Sony?
yeah. 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 I have no idea.
I
I,
don't
I'm just,
know.
I'm just gonna say yes to everything and just so that I can be right. Just like
Yeah.
in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Mac's like, I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top. And, and then I'm just like, but if you're playing both sides, you can't tell us that you're playing both sides. I'm just like, I'm playing both sides and saying yes to all of the studios because I don't know. That way, I'm right.
But boy, the full time I was watching it, I was like, this is a concept. This is
Mhm.
like a concept film for cyberpunk because all the filming in
Oh
Japan
yeah.
that they did was, and 3 out of the 4 main characters basically are like the cyberpunk characters already between Keanu Reeves and um, the Osaka hotel owner.
Oh,
So it's
really?
just like, yeah, all these characters are like basically in cyberpunk. They're just different characters in this
Oh, I didn't know that. I just
and
knew Keanu Reeves was.
futuristic, of course. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that type of like feel where it's like, I think this is like where they're going
Mhm.
next. These filmmakers could do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pre-sold basically if you
Yeah.
make it like this, and you kind of
Right.
can with those characters. So,
Yeah. So
see,
John Wick ends in a way. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
we already
Pause for
spoiled
like,
alerted them.
oh, I know. But like, if you're still listening and you don't want to know the end of the movie, spoiler alert, pause. Just skip to like 5 minutes from now. But uh, the way that it ends, Jared and I have two theories. What I want to know what you think. So that I think that he's actually gone. He's actually passed away, and end of series. Jer thinks that he is not gone. They are pretending he's gone to actually give him the freedom that he is supposed to have, knowing that no one is ever actually going to allow him to be free. So if everyone thinks he's dead, he can go and live the remainder of his life as he wants in peace. And that also, and I mean, technically either ending would allow this, but it would also allow them to make more movies in this universe, but not John Wick movies, because they said they're done with the John Wick storyline. Although, honestly, if this does amazing, they may just still go with him, and that could be the whole plot. Like, hey, I'm really alive, and I'm doing this, and blah. But yeah. So, what do you think?
I think, yeah, I see it both ways too. I understand. Yeah, I feel like they did end it that way, but at the same time, they left that door open too. So it's kind of like the end of the last Bond film, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe.
Yeah. Like, did it wrap up this one story?
Yeah.
Within this universe, but obviously it's not.
Yeah. I like your theory better because it feels satisfying in some sense, where it's like right when he gets his freedom, it's then like he's done.
Yeah, especially with the line that they had, him and Kang, right? Yeah, like when they're in the duel, you know that something about like through life, or you know what? I'm not going to get it right, so I'm not going to say it. But like the life and death line that they exchanged, I feel like that's just it. It kind of preemptively tells you that he is dead, and therefore got the freedom and the life that he, like the peace that he wanted so desperately.
Right. Plus, like the line, the tombstone, like knowing what he wanted on his tombstone.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that made my heart so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of callbacks to the first one. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, him saving that dog.
Yeah.
That made my heart so happy. He was like, that was the most passionate you see him about another person or being or anything in like a positive manner in the entire film.
Right.
He's just like, I'm trying to stay alive. I'm trying to stay alive. You're not going to kill me. I'm trying to stay alive and like get my freedom. And then all of a sudden he's like, do not touch that dog. I was like, yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. Yeah. That part made me really happy.
And of course, the overhead gun shot scene where he's walking through the whole house thing.
Yeah.
That was awesome with the, was it Dragon's Breath, was it called? Or
yeah.
Or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did, honestly, he's so excellent in those movies just by like the way that he trains and he gets everything right, and he gets all of the like he makes sure that he can do all of these moves with all of these weapons across the board so smoothly. And I mean, he obviously has the martial arts experience and training and everything down already. So being able, like, he makes sure that he can incorporate that in the most real and accurate way possible while still making it so badass. It just, he's amazing. Like, he's so committed and does so well. Yeah, I don't know.
I have to give my shout out to Lance Reddick, although his role was short lived.
Yeah.
In this film, but yeah, he was
so wonderful.
My friend and I, when we were watching that in the theater with annoying people,
yes,
as we'll talk about in a moment. But that it was like he was the whole time. He was like, we were just kind of in the same mind. Like, please don't kill him. Please don't kill him. Damn it.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
so quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It just ripped me apart. It broke my heart. It was like, really?
I get it. You need to make a statement with your villain, but
yeah, but like you couldn't have edited that differently. Whoa, I said that weird. But like edited it. Whoa, differently.
Yeah.
Since he passed away, like make it. I mean, I don't know. I get it. Like the end or the plot is the plot, but like it made me sad. Yeah. But
Although the theater was filled with phones that wouldn't turn off for both of us.
yeah, we both experienced it. So I haven't experienced that in a long time. Like, obviously, we didn't go to theaters during the pandemic, but like, I feel like I've been going to the theater again for, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, a year at
Mm-hmm.
least or something. And I have not experienced that once since going back until now in John Wick 4.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you seen it since
Mm,
then or not really?
not really. Not to the extent that this was so brazen, like it brought out
Mm-hmm.
like all the home dwellers that think they can do their phones at the theater,
Yeah.
where
Yep.
everyone pays, like you mentioned, like $40 to get in the door if you want snacks, you know?
Seriously. Oh my gosh. And like we went to Jared was like, we got to see it on the best screen with the best sound. So we went to
Yep. Same here.
like the Man Theaters DMX. It's not that, but like what
DMX, yes.
yeah, like the Dolby sound, whatever, like intense, crazy theater. Which is totally worth it, by the way. If you
Mhm.
haven't seen it and you go see it, definitely do that. But like, so we paid extra and it's expensive already. And then there's these children, these youths, you guys. I'm gonna Schmidt it from New Girl, youths. They're probably 16 or 17. I don't even know. That are
Mine was
just
the opposite. Just older.
yeah,
Older
just
person that
hanging out
it's
on their
like
phones.
mom with her phone out doesn't want to be there, but she's there for the kids. But then it's like,
Yeah,
no, this is not how you're
like
gonna do this.
yeah, like no. At that point, just drop your kids off. Have somebody else take them. Yeah, I was so irritated. And like the kids next to me, they were right next to me. Like there were two seats in between us and then they were right there. No one was in those two seats. And so they were on their phones like crazy. They were like jumping all over each other and laughing and not at the movie, which is not funny anyway. So,
Yeah, it
but
doesn't matter. It's just don't do it. Just
yeah,
don't
like
do it.
stop. If you're going to waste $40, do it another way. Just go buy $40 worth of gummy bears and have a stomachache. Like, don't ruin somebody else's experience. So that's my thing on that. But yeah, John Wick 4, thumbs up, 5 stars.
So it's a rave.
Yep,
Double
Mario,
rave.
thumbs up.
Rehana
It's
double rave.
That doesn't
Nice.
happen very often. So
No.
everyone, totally recommend go see it. So those are my takes. And by takes, I mean raves. By raves, I mean reviews. And
I love
but
it.
aside from that, Alan, I want to hear your take on Film Beyond Minnesota. Like, what do you mean by that? How is that relevant? Tell us.
Film Beyond Minnesota. So we are filming Minnesota, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So what is Film Beyond Minnesota? Well, obviously anything beyond Minnesota's film. So
It's John Wick 4 is what it is.
So you may have noticed we've had a lot of interesting guests both in and out of state over the more recent seasons. And with the most recent tax credit in limbo at the moment as we record this here in April, we'll see if we get what we really want, which is to bring people from beyond Minnesota into Minnesota's film system here. Because we're ready, we're hungry, there's a lot of hunger, I'd say, for work from both acting to production, and people are leaving because it's not here, it's welled up, and yes, there is like opportunities, especially up in northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
But definitely get on the Minnesota Film Alliance to learn more about that. And I think what we're thinking is for Film in Minnesota as a podcast is we can be more of an outreach is what I'm thinking. So if, as well as the tax credit, of course, that's going to, if it does pass the way we would hope it to, it would definitely draw in the series that are looking at 2026 and beyond. Because as you know, Disney's roadmap is very lengthy, and
yeah, absolutely.
they're looking for places that can go the distance. with
Hmm.
tax credits. And quite frankly, there are other states that have already had a tax credit much more robust than Minnesota has. And I'm like, how can we not be in this game? It's like we need to be in the game. So, and we're
Yeah.
starting to gear up. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things happening around town here, as well as up north, that are starting to build the infrastructure to prepare for what's coming next.
Hmm.
And yeah, everything from gear rental to sound and even LED stages type of things. We're starting to build it. So build it and they will come, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We're ready for them to be here. And I mean, they want to come here. Like we have so much of what, productions want, whether it's from the landscape or the fact that we do have the community here. I don't think that that's not known, that
Mm-hmm.
there are good workers within this field here. It's just we don't have that one thing that happens to be the biggest thing that any production will look at, and that's the incentives,
Right.
the tax credit. And so if we can get that passed the way that we want it to be passed, I think that will be huge.
Yeah.
If that happens, what expectation do you think, like, should Minnesota set for itself? Like, is this something where, like, John Wick 5, although we just talked about the fact that that's probably not going to be a thing, but, something like that would be filmed here, or Stranger Things or something like that? Or is it still likely going to be more indie level, but like gradually moving up based on what the incentives would be and things like that?
Right. There was something in the language from the previous bill that has been updated that will help with things like calendar year that was added by
Mm.
the legislator, but to make it rolling year instead of, so that way, if you come to December 31st, it doesn't just stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
So they might film in the winter between November and February or something. And they
Yeah.
need a rolling year for that. You can't have calendar year and just have it stop in the middle of production. That's not
Hmm.
realistic. Because if they're here for the snow, they're here for that reason or something.
Right. Yeah.
So they want the incentive to, so that's been corrected in the language. So that's good.
Good.
Also, the fact that if we can get up to that amount, yes, it is more. But yeah, eventually it would be nice to show the scaling of that. I think it will be
Yeah.
a lot of, when it comes to film content, we might get more indie, like upper indie level films
Hmm.
here, which would be like, and maybe series.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, when you look at something like The Last of Us, they have a lot of snowy shots in there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
did you travel?
Forests.
No one travels through Minnesota. You could use Minnesota so much of this,
Right. For all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was cold there. Oh, come here.
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah. That's a very good point.
and they use multiple states to tap into each incentive. So it's like you could do the same here. You don't have to use
Yeah.
the full thing, but if you're going to do it year over year and you need more variety on a road trip type of, what do you call that? Not a road trip, but you know what I mean? It's a traveling show
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
where they have to go to different places.
Hmm. Yeah. No, it's a really good point.
Yeah.
Man, I would love that. That would be amazing if that could happen. Because I think that would just be a really good way to show what could be. Like if we have that for the next handful of years, like, okay, so then if this is what we're getting with that, like pointing out, okay, we need to like really like increase this and get to the level of Georgia and wherever, so that we can compete with the large Marvel movies and like all of these big productions,
Right.
because man, that would be huge. That would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love it.
Yeah, and you need the gear. You need a close rental house like we have for RE cameras and things like that. Things that bigger productions use all the time, like it's
Right.
nothing because they're in the studio system, which is
Hmm.
billions of dollars year over year. So it's like
No.
that's what Minnesota's been missing out on, and
Yeah.
um, it's a start to get to to start to scale now. If we can remove the sunset, if that comes to fruition, which we hope it does,
Hmm.
as well as raise the cap, because yeah, we need more. We need
Yes.
sustaining jobs, basically, not just one-offs.
Yeah. Um, so you talked about the fact that like we're trying to expand the podcast, so it's not just about what's happening in film Minnesota. It's about connecting people outside of Minnesota in film to really like spread the word about Minnesota. And if they have any type of connection, whether it's to people here or to the film festivals, we've had a couple of people from the film festival, or film festivals, on the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, even though they're not based in Minnesota. They haven't even filmed here, but like talking about like it kind of in introducing them to what is possible here, um, and all of that. And so
Yeah,
mentioning that's a big next step that we're wanting to go in.
right. And then also supplying them with the resources that we have here, letting them know where do you
Mm-hmm.
go for this or that if you end up shooting here. Who
Yeah.
do you talk to? Go to the film MN Film TV and go to the Upper Midwest Film Office, and they're so ready to talk to you. They can help. So
Yes.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they
Exactly.
can hook you up right away. It's just get the ball rolling on that. What do you need
Mm-hmm.
to qualify for this or that credit or rebate program here in the States? So,
Mm-hmm.
like with Casey, we talked to Casey about that here.
Yep.
And also with acting, like what does that take? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, there are a lot of things that you can do now, both for people who live in Minnesota, but also, and by the time this podcast comes out, maybe we'll have our answer. But
Yeah.
yeah, starting to reach beyond Minnesota is the big key, I think, in order
Mm-hmm.
to show the growth, because
Yeah.
then that means they had the charts on like how many hotel stays there were, how many food,
Yeah.
people have to eat, people have to live, where they are. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, that'll definitely draw in more tourism and things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
no tax on clothing. So,
Yeah. I think it would be such a huge benefit to the state, not even taking into consideration the fact that like the film is being made here, but like everything outside of the film, like so many other industries, areas across the state will be highly affected in such a good way that I think once we actually get that moving and get the ball rolling, once we're able to, it's only going to continue proving itself how valuable that is.
right. And a lot of these co-productions also, what I mean by that is co-productions internationally.
Yeah.
You can tap into not only our what they call soft money, like grants and
Mm-hmm.
rebates and tax credits, but also the like other international ones like Canada, and then you can kind of subsidize it, if you will, between different things as well as different states, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
if you're filming in the U.S. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's good to see like if you employ more like Minnesotans from certain regions or whatever,
Yeah.
it's meant to work for us. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that within the next 2 years, we're going to see some major progress coming. And then hopefully that just scales by the
Mm-hmm.
next session and next session and so on.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's go time, because it's either
Yeah.
now or never type of thing. And it's been a long time.
Exactly. And it has so much potential. We just have to get the signatures.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's all. That's all we need. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's my take. It's just kind of like, I think film beyond for the podcast, film in Minnesota, can reach beyond Minnesotan borders. So you may hear more guests that come through with their films, and we'll definitely ask them to, come back with a film, so yeah, just keeping Minnesota on the map, so to speak. So
yeah, expanding our message and trying to connect with those who maybe wouldn't have just naturally connected with Minnesota. Right. So absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us for a little bit and listening to my rants and raves and Alan's takes. Until next time, this has been Film in Minnesota.